Hey everybody, Jeremy Hooper here, and what you are seeing is what I hope is going to become a new feature here on Good As You. Basically, I want to start rounding out every week with one of these little informal vlogs. You know, all the kids are doing vlogs these days, so I thought I'd jump on that bandwagon and just let us break the fourth wall a little bit between the printed word, which can be sometimes static, and sort of just schmooze a little bit. And I want to give you also the chance to respond. Send any videos that you have my way, and I'll post them in response. I'll post them down there below this one. And if you want to comment, of course, the comments button is somewhere over there. But just a way for us to transition into our weekend before we all start drinking, basically. As you can see, there's alcohol. There's alcohol. Hello, alcohol. But these are, again, these are going to be very informal. I've done some videos in the past that I used a teleprompter. They were heavily edited. This, it, and that. You're going to hear noises. You're going to hear cabs honking outside because they're very loud. I'll probably fart a few times. Whatever. So, let's get started. What I want to talk about this week is, what else? ENDA. The Employment Non-Discrimination Act. The big news of the week, the historic news of the week. No matter where you stand, it is historic. You may think it's a historic misstep, many do, for its non-inclusivity. You may think it's a great first step, but the fact that the House passed this measure is historic, and that's what we're going to talk about. I don't want to talk too much about the inclusive, non-inclusive debate that's been raging for many weeks in the gay community. On Good As You, we've pretty much stayed out of it. Controversy is not really what we do, and, you know, the site does operate from a stance where some of these dealings are best held in private. And, you know, I like to present a united front on the site. I think we have varying paths towards achieving the same goals, and we may disagree on them, but I think we should respect them. And some of the arguments this week that I've seen have been extremely heated. I've seen a lot of people say things that they didn't really mean and then have to apologize for them, and that's exactly why I've sort of stayed out of it. So I do want to say for the record that I 100% support a fully inclusive ENDA. Always have, always will. I think the way that this was handled after the gender identity was dropped, but in many cases was piss poor and perhaps even reprehensible. But I also think that there are varying paths to reach the same goals, and I think most of us do have the same goals. Most of us do want to see gender identity protections, and most of us will work tirelessly until we achieve that. But those of us who do this, we're not seeking fame, at least we shouldn't be. We're not seeking riches, at least, trust me, we shouldn't be. We do this because we have a passion for it, and I know what it feels like to give more than it feels like you have to give, and then to get attacked because someone doesn't see eye to eye with your strategy as opposed to another. So that's all I want to say about that. What I do want to talk about mainly is the way our opposition has handled their strategy on this. Matt Barber, Peter LaBarbera, you know, the fringe of the far right, who, you know, although we write them off sometimes as being loony, they do have a little bit of pull, you know? These are the talking points that I heard several Republican congressmen cite in their floor speeches this week. You know, stats that I know came directly from the Traditional Values Coalition, or one of the other groups. So we can't just completely discount them. And what I find most enraging in terms of ENDA is how they present their arguments. You know, their arguments that ENDA, if it passes, is going to trample on their religious freedoms. Yet they never acknowledge what we say. And, you know, one of our primary arguments is, how can you want to be protected, have your religious freedoms protected, you know, prevent me as a gay man from firing you for being an evangelical who believes I'm going to hell, and, you know, rightfully so. I don't want to fire someone on the basis of their religion. But yet, you want to turn around and say that those religious freedoms should give you the right to fire me for being a gay man. It is so fundamentally flawed. Yet, when we present this, and many of us made that argument, not only on blogs and in the media and whatever, many of us had these conversations in private settings with various members of the far right, and they just dance around, doo-doo-doo, I don't want to talk about that, let's talk about something else. You know, and they jump on to their, this is an Orwellian piece of legislation that will trample all over religious freedom, and, you know, gay activists are so determined to destroy Christianity because it's in their way, and... Or they say that because our sexual orientations are changeable, and we are choosing our lifestyles, that we are not deserving of special protections. You know, they use all these words because detaching our sexual orientations from ourselves is the core of their movement. They want to make it look like they're hating the sin and loving the sinner and all that. That's the way they justify their discrimination. So, you know, their end campaigns have to make it look like, unlike race, unlike national origin, sexual orientation is not an immutable concept. It's not an immutable characteristic. Again, complete bullshit. They are reciting a talking point. They are refusing to look at the considerable evidence. And in the case of being able to change your sexual orientation, they're going against every medical, mental health organization on the face of the planet. So the fact that more people buy into this lie, and the fact that it is primarily the gay community who is speaking out against this nonsense, is very disturbing. It's very disturbing to me. So, whatever. Okay, I'm not sure if this was a complete success, but I'm going to wrap up because my partner just came home and I want to start the aforementioned drinking. Just kidding. I don't really drink all that much. I don't want you to think I'm an alcoholic. But I do want to wrap this up. I do think this is going to be a feature. You know, this is the first one. It's probably a little bumpy. But I'll be interested to hear what you think. So, send me a video response and let me know. Talk to you later, kids. Bye.